Welcome back to the channel. Day 6 of the Tokyo 2025 Championship had it all. Rain, drama, blazing speed on the track. Sydney McLaughlin showed why she's the new queen of the women's flat 400 meters. Noah Lyles answered with one of the greatest championship runs of all time, and Bryan Levell stamped himself as Jamaica's next big sprint star. Shericka Jackson and Melissa Jefferson set up an epic women's 200 showdown, and Jamaica had quite a bit to cheer off on day 6, but also a number of disappointments. So let's break it all down. Sydney McLaughlin came to Tokyo as one of the favorites for the 400 meters, and she didn't disappoint. In the semis, she dropped 48.29 to break Sanya Richard-Ross' American record of 48.7, and she put the world on notice that she was going to do something special in the final. And she did. She's already the Olympic and world champion in the 400-meter hurdles, decided to switch to the flat 4, and she has delivered. It looks like the right decision. From the gun, Sydney was smooth. Smooth down the backstretch, attacking early. By the 200 meters, she had control of the race, came off the turn in front, never looked back, and she kept extending her lead in the home stretch. Paulino, who was out in lane 9 after making a bad decision in the semis and not running through the tape, gave a very valiant chase, but Sydney was too strong. And Naser, normally ones who goes out hard and dares the field to catch her, just couldn't do it this time. Paulino and McLaughlin was too strong for her, and it showed. Sydney crossed first, Paulino second, Naser third. They were the 3 favorites. They were the ones we expected, and it materialized as we thought. Sydney ran a startling 47.78. It was a championship record. It didn't beat Marita Koch's legendary 47.6 world record, but I think it came as close as humanly possible. Given that the track was wet, the rain came down, conditions were far from ideal. That begs the question, people. In perfect weather, would Sydney have broken this record? Paulino also ran in the 48 seconds with a time of 47.98, which was a national record for Dominican Republic. Either way, it was all about Sydney. This was the race of the night, and she delivered. She stamped herself as just not the queen of the hurdles, but also now the queen of the flat 400, which makes her, if you think about it, maybe the greatest woman quarter miler in history. You have to say, if you can stamp your mark on the flat 4 and the hurdles, then you got to mark her down. She has set the marks, and she's running extraordinary times. Now to the men's 200 meters. And folks, it was pure fire. First, Jamaican Bryan Levell lit up the track with a 19.78 in the semifinal. He did it from lane 8. And I'm not sure why he got that lane, given that, he ran the whole 19.84 previously. But he lit up the track from lane 8, looked composed and confident. Off the curve, he was in control, crushed the field, was ahead of Tobago, the Olympic champion, and announced himself as the real deal. I don't think Tobago overstretched himself after realizing he may not be able to catch Levell in the stretch. Because if you look at the race and how Tobago ran, I think he had a little more in the tank. But don't get it twisted. Levell is the real deal at 19.78, one of the better times this year. But then Father Hype, as he's called, because a lot of Jamaicans believe that Noah is the hype man, but I think he's the hype man for track and field in general. Mr. Hype, our father Hype, didn't let us down. He wasn't going to let the spotlight not shine on him. And he ensured that he delivered. He dropped a blistering 19.51, the fastest time in the world this year. Fastest for a while now. I think Tobago ran 19.46 previously. And one of the fastest time that there is in history. If you think about boats 1919, Michael Johnson, 19.3 plus. Now we're both that with a 19.31. Tobago's run 1946, and that ran at 1951 in the semis. So now I ran 19.51 in the semis, which tells you he's ready. He wanted to send a message, and the message was clear. He wasn't jogging. There's a message to say to the field: I am the champion. If you want this title, hey, you have to come take it from me. I'm not giving it to you, and you're not taking it from me easily. You have to fight for this title. So the stage is set. Lyles, the reigning king. Levell, the young challenger. Bednarek is still there because Bednarek also ran a pretty decent race. He has looked good through the rounds, just like he did in the 100. In the 100 in the finals, he got left in the block. But in this race, Bednarek looked really, really well, ran in the 19.8s. And so he's also ready. But let's be honest, the race is shaping up to be between four people. It's Lyles versus Levell versus Bednarek, and to a lesser extent, Tobago. Those are the four favorites. They have come to the finals, and it should be a blazing final. So tomorrow, we find out if the crown stays with Noah, if the Jamaica Sprint Sensation take it from him, or is Bednarek or Tobago fit and ready to break up that time. We'll see tomorrow. Now, today we also had the women's 200 meter showdown in the semis. So in the women's side, the 200 meters also delivered some sense of intrigue. Shericka Jackson, the defending champion, ran the fastest time of the night, 20.99, just under 22 seconds, which she hadn't done all season. She was efficient, controlled, and with a strength coming off the bend in front and holding that lead. Melissa Jefferson, the 100-meter champion of the US, looked as sharp as she has done all year. She clocked 22.0, not breaking a sweat. Wasn't pressed at all. Looked like she had a couple more gears left in her legs. Beside those two names, in terms of Shericka and Melissa, we have Talu, who, as we know, normally failed to deliver in the championship, but has ran well in the 100 until the finals, and run well now. And then we have also Dina Hasher-Smith, who also advanced. But it feels like there's going to be a two-person race between Shericka and Melissa. And the way Melissa is running, I'm not sure if she's going to be a challenger. Jackson defending her crown. Melissa hungry for the double. You got to be there to see it tomorrow. Which way do you lean? Experienced or new blood? Drop in the comments. Now, in the men's 400 meters, which gave us a very thrilling finish, in tough wet conditions, Busan Colin Kibinashipi poured home down the stretch to take gold in 43.53 seconds. Held off a strong challenge from Jareem Richards, the veteran from Trinidad, who finished second at a time of 43.72. And Bayapo Ndori, another Botswanan, finished third in a fast finishing time of 44.2 seconds for the bronze, just beating out Jamaican Rasheed McDonald, big boy, who was fourth in 44.08 seconds. That was a silver for Trinidad. They have done much better than they did in the Olympics, where they won no medals. This medal was the second medal because the first medal that they won was the men's javelin. In the men's javelin final, it came down to consistency and nerves. Sean Walcott gave Trinidad its first gold medal in the last two major championships with a throw of 88.16 meters, beating out the Grenadian, another Caribbean person, Anderson Peters, who finished second with the silver with a throw of 87.38, and Curtis Thompson of the USA won the bronze with a throw of 86.67. This wasn't just about distance, it was about precision and timing, and the medalists delivered when it counted. The stadium crowd loved every minute of it, as they did for most of the events throughout the day. Now, for Jamaica, who has 6 medals so far, this was a mixed day. Did not do well early in the triple jump. There are 2 contestants did not do well. In the men's 800, Anderson made the final with a brilliant run, ran really well in his heat, to the fastest heat. Number of big time names in the 800 fell out. Blistering race. He's going to look to do well in the 800 final. In the men's 400 final, Rasheed McDonald, big boy, he ran well, but wasn't enough. He lost up by 0.08. I think he lost the race at the start, the 400 meter at the start. But he gave it all his effort, and I think people are very proud of him and what he did. But that one kind of sting because, I mean, he had promised to run under 44, didn't do so, but I must admit he gave a valiant effort and should be commended. Now, back in the men's 200 for Jamaica, both Christopher Taylor and Adrian Kerr did not make the final. They both ran personal best. Jamaica should also be proud of them because not only just about winning medals, is did you compete? What effort did you give? Are you and your family, are you proud of your efforts? Your family proud of your efforts? And I think your country also should be proud of your efforts. Taylor, who came back from a long suspension, Kerr, who has had a ton of injuries in his history, I think they have done well. And I think they'll continue. They're still young. They'll continue to make progress. So to wrap up day 6, McLaughlin was sensation in the 400. Paulino and Naser were brave but outclassed. Noah Lyles threw down the gauntlet, one of the fastest runs we have ever seen. But Bryan Levell kept Jamaica dreaming with a 19.78. Shericka Jackson and Melissa are locked in a collision course in the women's 200 tomorrow. So now we turn to day 7, and it's stacked. The women's 800 meter semifinal will decide who makes the final. And I should also mention that Gould, who is a Jamaica 800 meter runner, should be in the semifinal. The only Jamaican woman, Tracy, dropped out, did make the semifinal. There'll also be the men's triple jump, which will bring fireworks to the field. There's the women's javelin, will continue with Group B qualification. And then the track explodes with 2 blockbuster races. The men 400 meter hurdles, I think Rai Benjamin looked like the favorite, but Warholm is going to be a challenge. And there's also the women's 400 meter hurdles. Fenke Bowl and Mohammed will battle again. Both of these races promise drama and possible, maybe some world-class time, especially in the men's 400 meter hurdles. But the crown jewel tomorrow is the men's and women's 200 meters. It's Noah Lyles versus Levell versus Bednarek versus Tebogo and the rest of the field. Right after, Shericka Jackson defends her title against the phenom Melissa Jefferson. Should also include Talou and Dinasha Smith, but I think it's a 2-person race. Titles, bragging rights, and legacies are all on the line. Don't miss it. Because if you think day 6 was good, day 7 could be unforgettable. Before you leave, drop your predictions. Who's going to win the 400 meter hurdles, men's and women? Who's going to win the 200 meters, men and women? Let me know. This has been your day 6 recap, where history has been written every single day. Thanks for being here. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Peace out.